Alright, welcome back for another replay cast, playing as a What Elves again. And this time we are matched up against Khorne for the second time, and we're on Death Pass. So definitely changed up my build a good bit this time. So we're coming in with 4 squads of Wildwood Rangers, a squad of the Regiments Renown version, the Wardens of Cithral. They've got anti-large. They also have armor sundering. Got a squad of Glade Guard with Starfire Shafts for the armor piercing, and they have some chevrons on them. I've got a Glade Lord this time, Spellsinger of Beasts with Pan's Impenetrable Pelt, and with the Amber Spear, again trying to experiment with different types of spells and whatnot. Then I've got a Waystalker. For my opponent, they have Skarbrand as their Lord. They've got Chaos Warriors of Khorne, Marauders of Khorne, Brutes of the Hound, which are the Marauder Berserkers, and they've got some Chaos Knights of Khorne with lances. So much different build, I'd say, from both factions. This is of course a different player from the one I had in the last video, or a different opponent. So Arrows of Khorne coming in from my Lord and from my Waystalker. I wanted to use those on I think I used them on the Chaos Warriors in the middle, because the Brutes of the Hound were kind of stacking up with them. One squad of Wildwood Rangers going over to point 1 to hold that. The rest of them matching up against the Chaos Warriors of Khorne. These guys have armor piercing damage and decent combat stats. So I figured what I'd do is have them match up on the front line as opposed to bringing as much Eternal Guard. Have these Wardens of Cithral as kind of a backline defense against some kind of charging unit, which ended up being these Chaos Knights of Khorne. I have not seen these units much. And then you see the Glade Guard shooting into them, getting some armor piercing damage in. My Lord's refocusing their attention. I have my Lord and my Waystalker shooting at the Chaos Warriors and the Brutes of the Hound before, especially the Brutes of the Hound since they're lightly armored, and the Glade Lord and Waystalker don't have a lot of armor piercing damage on their normal missiles. Chaos Knights charging into the back of the Wildwood Rangers, figured they didn't want to deal with these spear units, but I'm trying to chase them down and just keep them out of that. A lot of charge damage going off there. Issue is I don't have too much defense in my backline. This is, again, for basically the 3rd time in a row, recurring theme, but luckily I do have these Wildwood Rangers Regiments Renown version that are going to help in this mess. I've got all 3 of my Lord and my 2 heroes back here, and we'll see what we can get done there. So bringing in some Wild Riders. I figured the Wild Riders would be a good counter to the Brutes of the Hound. These guys are lightly armored. They're anti-melee, so they're not going to do too well against a large target like this. And the Chaos Knights are starting to run. It looks like they're wavering, but not yet broken. And the Brutes of the Hound are actually redirecting. They did a pretty good amount of damage to my Spellsinger and the Glade Guard, but they're going to get in the mix on the front lines to deal with these Wildwood Rangers. I had popped Pan's Impenetrable Pelt on this squad of Wildwood Rangers, I believe, in the beginning. It was one of these squads, just to give them a little bit of an edge in the melee, trying to make sure that I guarantee getting more capture weight on point 2. And at this point, I saw these, what do you call it? I was using these guys to chase off some cavalry. I forget if it was these Chaos Lances or what. In fact, I brought the Stag Knights in to prepare for, what are they called? They had some big skull crushers that were coming on the field. The main thing that I should be paying attention to now is Skarbrand coming in from capturing point 3. So it looked like he captured point 3 and then flew over here and is charging into my casters. So I've got my Glade Guard that are getting jumped by him. He is popping Wrathful Reaper, so as he's rampaging, getting a lot more damage. My Spellsinger got crushed. Wildwood Riders are jumping on top of him, just trying to slow him down. I was trying to get my Lord over to him to get her out of the combat with the Brutes of the Hound, and you can see my front line is basically completely crushed. But when I saw Skarbrand coming in, I decided that I needed to bring these Hawkeyes. I needed some kind of consistent armor-piercing damage that was going to deal with him, and it was going to take me too long to get more Wildwood Rangers, something like that, on the field. I also didn't want something that was going to be just pushed off by him immediately when they get in the engagement. And I figured he would deal well with some kind of infantry or whatever. So went with the Hawkeyes. Again, these are Regiments of Renown. Way Watchers, Wild Riders coming in to stop the Chaos Knights from jumping on top of these guys. My Lord is coming over this way, just trying to stay away from Skarbrand as he deals with these great Stag Knights. Originally, something I didn't fully get to explain, I had Stag Knights that I brought over and sat in these woods because the opponent had brought in, what are these guys called? I'm losing them now. Yeah, these Knights of the Brazen Thorn, they're Skull Crushers. These guys are armor-piercing anti-infantry. They would have smashed these Wildwood Rangers. So what I did was I brought the Stag Knights over here. He redirected them, and then I was kind of trying to mirror. Flesh Hounds coming over here. Looks like let's see if they end up going after point 1. Still getting some shooting in on Skarbrand. Been using these arrows of Khorne from my Stalker and from my Glade Lord. And my Spell Singer is kind of sitting in the back. For her, I've been using Amber Spear mostly, just shooting at large targets, whether it's the Knights or whether it is the Chaos Knights, I should say, or Skarbrand. And shortly, I believe I ended up using one of, there we go. So that just went down, was the Prey of Anath Ramos. So that's, you know, it decreases missile resistance and it locks someone in place. So that's a really good type of ability when you got Glade Guard with Starfire Shafts, especially when they got chevrons on them for a little bit of extra damage. Way Watchers and my Way Stalker, my Glade Lord, all 4 of them doing shooting. And I might have even shot a Amber Spear in there for my Spell Singer. Bloodletters of Khorne being summoned in. I guess that's from the Cultist who's here. So my Eternal Guard are dealing with him right now. My Lord's going to come in and just try to help these guys out. These Hawkeyes are just shooting in here, just a little, just dropping little shots in there. It's kind of an awkward angle for them, but it is what it is. Great Stag Knights coming in to support my Wildwood Rangers. These guys are going to get smashed by the Knights of the Brazen Thorn, but I figured bringing in some great Stag Knights would be good because they've got good armor-piercing damage to deal with these cavalry, and they're going to fight well against the Flesh Hounds as well. Got a little bit better combat stats than them, I'd say. They're actually taking more damage than I would have thought just running into the Flesh Hounds, but see if they're able to hold on to point 1 with the Wildwood Rangers. Now Skarbrand is gone, so that's an important thing. Amber Spear coming in there for my caster. Looks like the Minotaurs are trying to deal with my Glade Lord. I was about to charge in and reinforce with the Eternal Guard, but my opponent's just about to take control of this, and these Minotaurs are getting chased off regardless. So now leadership is going to be a problem for them, and I really got to protect my Lord and make sure that I don't end up in a tank with leadership either. I am ahead on gold value and on victory points. The Stag Knights are doing pretty well dealing with the Knights of the Brazen Thorn. Again, this is a regiment renowned, pretty expensive unit, so having Stag Knights deal with them is pretty nice for me as far as value trading. Now my opponent, it looks like they actually didn't fully take this point, so they have some Chaos Warriors of Khorne coming in, silver shields, heavy armor, but again, that's part of the reason I brought in these Hawkeyes. I figured that just having like one consistent high damage dealing armor piercing unit, and then I also had these the Glade Guard who were like a little bit less of an elite unit, but I wanted to be able to deal with these heavily armored troops that they had, as well as some kind of big Lord or monstrous units. So that's kind of what I was going for with my missile build here. So Eternal Guard on the way. Actually, this is not Eternal Guard. This is the Wardens of Sithral being resummoned. So Wildwood Rangers on their way. Now again, the reason I brought these guys is because they have Armor Sunder and they also have the bonus versus large. So I figured they would help kind of be a flexible unit that would have good combat stats and also be able to deal with some of the large threats from these guys. Just an all-around good unit. So we'll see if they're able to hold their own against both these squads. There are a healthy squad of Flesh Hounds who came in and chased off my Stag Knights. And the Knights of the Brazen Thorn still have 11 models. Not too much health, but they are anti-infantry, so they're going to do well, generally speaking, against those guys, against my Wildwood Rangers. Eternal Guard coming in to deal with these Chaos Warriors. You'll notice I brought, I guess, what is this, 8 chevrons on these guys. Now, this is a unit I had not used before. At least I don't believe before this match, and I wanted to really give it a go, and this was the point where I felt like there was less going on. We both only have 6 squads on the field. I felt like there was less going on, and when I saw these Chaos Warriors, I was, or excuse me, not Chaos Warriors, these Brutes of the Hound, I was looking at the reinforcements that I had available, and I realized I haven't used this dragon before, And he's probably going to be a really good anti-infantry troop for me because they don't have any halberd units that I've seen so far to deal with to deal with the large models. And so that's kind of the role that this guy's going to play. When he can get on top of these high-value infantry squads and just get isolated and not be dealing with any kind of what would I call it? A unit that's good at dealing with single entities. Like if there was a Skarbrand on the field, I might not bring this guy because Skarbrand could come in and deal a lot of damage on him if he got caught out. But right now there's no threats to a unit like this, so that's why I brought him as opposed to more archers or more infantry or wildwood rangers or something like that. Armor piercing is not going to be helping me too much against these brutes of the hound anyways. Now I make a big mistake here, and I sent my Glade Lord in to fight with the Forest Dragon against these guys, and I don't know why I did that. They have really good combat stats, they have really good anti-infantry, and my Glade Lord lost a lot of health. She got beat up pretty bad and was getting to the point of wavering. She's shaken now, but I'm just like force pathing her to get out of that squad of guys. Use the Eternal Guard to slow them down a little bit and protect her. And you'll see over here, I actually was not paying attention. I pulled these Wild Riders off after they came in to try to help these Wardens of Sithral, and then I realized that I did not have capture weight on here, so I lost this point and was not gaining it back as quick as I could have. So this is a problem here. Chaos Warriors of Khorne coming in, very high armor, and although the Wardens of Sithral are pretty good units, they're not going to be able to deal with these guys with how much health they have. The Wild Riders aren't going to be able to do a ton of damage against them because they don't have good armor piercing. In fact, let's see, they only have 14 armor piercing damage, and these guys are hefty. So this is something I'm watching, and I'm like, all right, how am I going to deal with this? They got Fleshhounds coming over the hillside from point 3 that are going to be threatening my Lord. More Minotaurs coming in with great weapons, so they're going to be able to deal with my Forest Dragon if I can't figure out what to do with them. I had Glade Guard coming over here to shoot against these guys to kind of get like flanking shots when they charge against the Wildwood Rangers. And luckily, I realized that I still had one last use of Prey of Anathema as these Fleshhounds were about to jump on top of my Lord. I like kind of like panic cast that because I selected her and was just trying to get her out of there, and then realized that there were still some abilities to use. So luckily, I was able to stop them from jumping her. They might have cleared her off there. She has low armor, and they have huge damage output, those units. So luckily, I was able to crash on them with the Wildwood Rangers and the Forest Dragon. Redirecting them over here. The Minotaurs are good anti-Lars, decent armor, pretty good combat stats. But at this point, I'm looking at the victory points and I'm like, all right, I cannot afford to be losing points. There's a potential that I lose this because of the Chaos Warriors about to take out my Wildwood Rangers. I am losing this. I have lost it. And I don't know what kind of reinforcements they've got. So more Chaos Warriors coming in from the backfield from my opponent. Got my Lord trying to get in the mix just to sit in this corner and get some capture weight in here. And I don't have any other units being summoned in right now. My Glade Guard are going to come over and try to get a little bit more of an angle and shoot in the backs of these Chaos Warriors. You know, this is going to be punishing for their shields because they're not facing the direction of where they're being shot at. So the shields are basically ineffective. They got armor sundered because of the Wardens of Sithral, and that's giving the Glade Guard even more damage potential against them because now they have 80 instead of 110 armor. So back over here, Brutes of the Hound, one guy just got shucked by the Forest Dragon. My Lord's, like I said, sitting back on the corner, not trying to get in the mix and put her in a risky situation, but just getting a little bit of capture weight on the corner. Unfortunately, I don't think the Dragon adds capture weight because it's a flying unit, so really the only capture weight I have on here is the Wild Riders. Breath Attack going down on the Chaos Warriors. I had to lift my Dragon off to do that. That is something that is easy to forget about when you have these units that like are not a hero or a spellcaster that you're used to using for magic and whatnot. Sometimes remembering to lift them up so they can use their Breath Attack. I think that Forest Dragons and some of the other units with Breath Attacks cannot use them while they're on the ground. I might be wrong on that, so I might be explaining that for no reason, but I think that might be a thing. Got the Hawkeyes of Drakira back on, my good my good Way Watchers. Unfortunately over here, now they've got Fleshhounds coming in to deal with the rest of my troops after I redirected my Glade Guard, so the mobility is really becoming a problem for me. Yeah, my opponent brought a lot of Fleshhounds, it seems. I'm going to guess they brought like 5 4 or 5 squads of them. I'll have to check that if I can remember to at the end of this match. I'm still slightly ahead on the victory points. My opponent still controls 0.2, so they're starting to catch up to me, and now I'm at the risk for losing 0.1, so I might be getting triple capped here, and it's kind of rough because I'm just like, you know, chasing off flesh hounds with my wildwood riders, or my wild riders. All these names are getting me all mixed up. My forest dragon's trying to deal with these chaos warriors, and a lot of shooting coming in from my ranged units sitting here on 0.2. I was able to get the capture weight and bring that back. 0.3 is kind of a lost cause. I don't think I'll be able to get over there at this point. And so now I'm kind of just like running back and forth because these flesh hounds are just pulling me in all directions. So Wild Riders are going to be going after the Chaos Warriors and just chasing them off the field, trying to make sure that they don't come back. Cultist of Khorne is coming onto the field. Now he has, what is the ability? Gate of Khorne. So he has the ability, and I'm not sure if it's available to him right away, or if he needs to have engaged in combat for X amount of time to earn the summon. But they have their Cultists of Khorne on the way. They've got another squad of Chaos Warriors going over towards 0.1 to make sure they can hold that. They got the Flesh Hounds over there with 5 chevrons. My Eternal Guard are on the way, and luckily these guys are the 8 chevron ones. I've been playing around more with putting chevrons on the units as opposed to trying to like restructure my roster so that I'm using all my money without adding experience to anybody. And yeah, these guys are. Let's see how they're doing. So maybe a waste in this situation. They've only got 464 points on them, but I cannot remember if they are a resummon or if I must have resummoned them because they're at full health right now. So either way, Cultist on his way over to 0.2, and so I saw him as a decent threat because of his ability to summon Bloodletters. So I'm like running back, getting a lot of missiles in on him, but I don't want him to engage in melee so that he can charge up that ability. And so I'm going to back up more with these Hawkeyes and make sure that he can't get into range to attack me. He was kind of running around. It looks like he was trying to dodge some shots. Over on this side, flanked over here with the Wildwood. Oh my God, all these names are confusing me. With the Wild Riders and the Forest Dragon jumping on top of the Chaos Warriors. The Flesh Hounds came in to support one from over here, the ones that they had on the point back in this area before. They ran around this way. And then another one came in from the reinforcement Vanguard point. I believe from the Vanguard point. I'm pretty sure Flesh Hounds are a Vanguard unit for them. Luckily, with them being tied up with all my large units, my Eternal Guard are able to get in here and do some of that anti-large work against these guys. The Wild Riders are the Great Stag. Oh, these are Great Stag Knights actually. The Great Stag Knights and the Forest Dragon do not have anti-large, so the Flesh Hounds are going to do okay-ish against them. But I think that's a fight I probably would have won anyways, even without the Eternal Guard. But maybe not, and I was not going to take the chance. And actually, you can see the Forest Dragon and the Great Stag Knights are taking a good amount of damage from these Flesh Hounds. It's honestly surprising to me how big their damage output is. But luckily I was able to hold on to the points and win on victory points there. So well played to my opponent. And let's take a look at the end game stats. So not too great value on my Glade Lord, but she's pretty cheap anyways. Wildwood Rangers, Regiments of Renown, one of the Wardens of Sithral did pretty good. My Waystalker did alright. My Spellsinger did alright. Wildwood Rangers did decent. They're my frontline unit, so they did alright. These Glade Guard with Starfire Chefs did a lot of work. Forest Dragon did decent. I forget how much this unit costs. Wow, I'm honestly surprised how little these guys did. One group of Stag Knights did good, one did horribly. These guys really came in clutch. Hawkeyes of Drakira. These guys, if I did not bring this squad, I don't think I would have been able to shut down Skarbrand and get him off the field, and that was a huge game changer. Wild Riders did decent, and these guys did alright. For my opponent, Skarbrand didn't get his value. Chaos Knights didn't do great. These dudes shredded. The Brutes of the Hound did pretty good. Chaos Warriors didn't do great. Marauders didn't do anything. I think these guys were sitting on 0.3 the whole match, just making sure I didn't get that. Bloodbrute Behemoth didn't get brought on the field. The Skull Crushers from the Regiments of Renown, Knights of Brazen Thorn did alright. I'm not sure how much they cost. Minotaurs with great weapons did alright, probably not earning their value. Cultists didn't do great, he got shot down pretty quickly. Okay, so I way overestimated. I don't know what it was about these flesh hounds that made me think that he brought like 4 squads of them, but he was resummoning them with the quickness. Maybe he was resummoning them before they were down to their minimum cost, because I know you can resummon stuff early and you kind of pay a penalty for it, but he got a lot of value off of them, assuming that he summoned them at their minimum cost. And yeah, that's basically that. So a little bit of a different build. I think my opponent kind of got caught out with how he was using Skarbrand. If he played with him a little bit more conservatively, he probably could have beat me there. The victory points were very close, and a lot of the gold value trading ended up coming from me getting his leader off the field, and some of his units didn't get to fight to their full potential because of the leadership penalty. But anyways, it was a fun match. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.